Hi, I'm Lorraine. Welcome back to your restorative practice for the day. For this practice, you will need one bolster and one blanket. Always optional to have additional props. I have an extra blanket. I always just like to have extra if I want it. And we're going to start today in a comfortable seated position. So I'm going to use my blanket, but feel free to use your bolster to come and prop the hips up a little bit. We're just coming to a nice comfortable seated position. And ultimately, we'll just use this beginning so that we can walk away from whatever we just came from and allow ourselves to just settle in. So again, find yourself, your hips supported just gently with a blanket or a bolster. Let the hands come to the knees and then just gently let the eyes close down. Allow yourself to just land here in this comfortable seated position. No strain, nothing super active. I just want you to, again, move away from whatever you might have come from. Maybe a gentle nod, a gentle welcome to yourself into your practice. Maybe that's just a subtle noticing, a noticing of your breath. Maybe a noticing if any thoughts are swirling away. Not trying to change those thoughts if you have them, just being aware that they're there. Also, not trying to attach yourself to any of those thoughts. Maybe a gentle scan of the physical body today. I once read Gretchen Rubin's Happiness Project, and one of my favorite sayings that she says in this book, and I think it was from her research, but one of the things that she said was, it's easy to be heavy, and it's hard to be light. So if you can today, I want you to channel that inner lightness. Knowing again that it's easy to be heavy, and it's hard to be light. Let's go ahead and tap into your breath. So taking an inhale deep through the nose. Exhaling it back out. On your next inhale, I want you to count till 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale back out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Just finding this box breathing, this pattern of 4 and 4 to decrease. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 4. Keeping at your own pace. Inhale. Counting at your own pace, your own rhythm. Last round here. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the breath come back to a normal rhythm. Maybe gently starting to blink the eyes open and feeling your connection with this practice and with your body. We're going to make our way to our first shape. So go ahead and grab that bolster, scoot off of that support, scoot that off to the side. We're going to have the bolster the length of your spine. And we're going to turn the hips forward and allow that support to just come right at the edge of the hips. We're going to come into our first supported Shavasana. And again, if you ever need additional props, go ahead and find them. But otherwise, just allow yourself to lay back on that bolster. In fact, I think I'm going to use a blanket on top of that support. Let the legs fall as it feels naturally for them to do. Let the arms either come wide or maybe even one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. Just give yourself the space to land in this first supported shape. Knowing that ultimately what we're doing in this practice is just tapping into our body's natural resilience. And again, seeing if you can be light here. It's easy to be heavy. It's hard to be light. Channeling your inner lightness as you just lay on these supports. A gentle opening through the chest. Even here, maybe a gentle noticing of your breath, its natural ebb and flow. Go ahead and take one last full inhale. Gentle release of that breath. A gentle bend through one knee at a time, planting the feet onto the earth. Slowly scoot the hips off to the right and gently roll your way off to that right side, maybe supporting your head with that right bicep. And only when you're ready, pressing your way up to lift the upper body. No rush. We're going to keep that bolster as it was. Drop the knees, if not already, off to the right. And then again, bring that support right next to that right hip. We're going to find a twist through the spine here. Go ahead and bring one hand on each side of your bolster. Again, if you'd like to keep that blanket there, you can. Otherwise, just gently lay the chest onto that support, turning the cheek off to your favorite side. Maybe that's the right side. If you want a little bit more for the twist, turn it off to the left. Hands still straddling the support underneath you. And again, you find this nice, easeful twist. So we move the spine in many directions in this practice. Whether that's back bending, twisting, forward bending, we ever so gently move our spine, keeping it supple and nimble, all while being supported. If ever you needed to adjust the head and flip it to the opposite side, you could. Knowing that the arms aren't doing any work here. And in fact, if you felt like they were, letting the arms be wider. This practice is so beautiful because it allows us to change the lens we look through, to be a little more introspective. Take one more inhale through the nose. Gently let that release. Only as you're ready, bring the hands under the shoulders and ever so gently press your way up. We'll just come up and come through center, bringing the hips neutral, the back against that bolster. And you're just going to go ahead and drop the knees off to the left. Go ahead and straddle that bolster. One hand swaying side to side. I'll go ahead and switch so you can see me. Let the belly lay down flat and onto that support. And adjust as you need. If you needed to make any subtle shifts with the legs or your blanket or your bolster, you're more than welcome to make those shifts. Allow your chest to lay down onto that support. Allow your head to find rest. Again, channeling that inner lightness. Remembering it's easy to be heavy. It's hard to be light. Noticing maybe that shift away from our fight or flight response, more and more towards our rest and digest response. That parasympathetic branch, staying in that. If ever you wanted to lift the head and drop the opposite cheek to the opposite side, you could. But knowing if you got there, if it was too much of a twist, that again, we always want to lean on the side of ease and calm. That we're not trying to strain or stretch in any capacity during this restorative class. In fact, that easeful, calming sensation staying with us throughout the class. Coming back to that lightness. The one that resides deep within you. Go ahead and take your last full breath in. Deep breath out. Ever so gently walking the hands underneath the shoulders and calmly pressing your upper body up. We're going to make our way to a seated straddle. I'm going to move my blanket behind me. In fact, I'm going to use it to sit on again. And we're going to come to a not so wide straddle. We're going to come to just a little bit wider than hips width of a straddle. In fact, maybe I'll face you. So go ahead and find yours. Your feet are a little bit wider than your hips. And if you're turned off to the side like me, maybe allow your bolster to be on your sticky mat or on something that isn't necessarily going to slide. I dropped a blanket down there, and I'm going to place my bolster, onto something that's not going to move. We're just going to allow it to find a nice angle. And again, I'll show you that side profile again. Finding a nice angle so that we can rest our head just onto that edge of the bolster. And now folding our spine forward. You can either rest your hands down onto the earth, onto your legs, or even into your lap. And again, finding an angle that feels right so that you don't have any big movements of that bolster. And you can really just allow your head to drop down and in. This is probably one of my favorite shapes in the restorative practice. And it was definitely one that reminds me that it's easy to be heavy. It's hard to be light. See if you can imagine the thoughts pouring out of your brain and into this bolster. The to-do list, the I'm not good enoughs, anything that's not serving you right now in this moment, anything that doesn't feel easeful. Just allow yourself to stay present in that, to meld with that, to indulge in that. You might notice yourself starting to drift. And I welcome you to stay ever so gently present. Maybe that's a gentle focus on your breath. Not drifting away from this present moment. Right here. Staying in your lightness. Staying here for one last full inhale. Deep breath out. Placing one hand at a time on each side of your bolster. And again, ever so gently lifting that head, you'll feel that lightness washed over you already. Slow, slow, slow. I'm going to move one of my blankets to the top of my mat. Ever so gently scooting back my hips onto that mat as well. And then bringing that bolster underneath the knees. Making your way onto your back and into our final resting pose. If you'd like a neck roll with that blanket, you're more than welcome to find it or take it. Otherwise, slowly and easefully make your way into your final resting shape. And beautiful and easeful and a very light Shavasana. Maybe noticing the lightness in you. Just gentle tuning in to our inside world. Let's take one last deep inhale together. On the exhale, maybe let it sigh out the mouth ever so gently. And as always, if you wanted to stay a little longer, you could. Otherwise, we will say that is the official end of this practice. Go and take your time coming out of this. I hope you leave this practice feeling light and free. Namaste.